Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Idemo Break conference. Today, is everybody here?
Joseph.
I hope that you enjoyed the lunch, and we will have your full attention now because we have a great panel. Sit here, please. And that's it. Today's topic is we are going to talk about crypto and blockchain to apply it to the gaming. And let me introduce you my panelists. We have founders of Infinity Games, Professor Srđan Vukmirović and Ante Medić, founder of Eternal Summoner, Safil Saed, and Joseph from Red Door Digital. Give a round of applause. Yes, thank you, thank you. So basically, we will start with first question. Let me sit. I'm sorry. Why put the games on blockchain? How did the gaming studios see the blockchain technology and how you use it in a game? Srđan.
Okay, I can start. Can you hear me? So, why to put your games on the blockchain is a very interesting question. Thank you for that. So, first of all, why blockchain is here? You know all the story how Vitalik started Ethereum because he didn't want changes that were implemented in his favorite game. So the first thing is you will own the fun. So basically, nobody can change the rules of the game if you don't want to. And the assets that you have will always be in your position, so you can retrieve it and move it to the next game. On the other hand, gaming, especially sport gaming, is a very big thing for the Web3. So Web3 need games in order to have mass adoption. So we all know that next wave needs millions of new wallets and millions of new players and users. And the best way to get there is through games, because there are games that have hundreds of millions of players. So we want to bring all of these very good players and on board on Web3, and the best way is through platform like ours, Infinity Games.
Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Great answer, Srđan. I can only agree on everything you said. I think it is very important to educate gamers what are the benefits of playing new types of games which are on Web3. And that is especially that they are now owning the assets. So they are available to do with them whatever they want. So if they want to sell them, if they want to trade them, they can do that. But in today games, in centralized games, we are not allowed to do that. So they will have much more freedom, they will have ownership, and they will be part of the games. They will decide what is the future of that games. The community will be integral part of the games of the future.
Okay, brilliant. Can you hear me? Okay, so obviously we've been developing games for the last 10 years, and what I've seen is a shift from non-crypto gamers moving into the crypto scene. I think education's key, and I think in order to break that wall, that taboo, that NFTs are frowned upon and what else, blockchain, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna give the players the ownership. It'll be like you said, Ante. Trading is something we've already got within our game, and I've seen it firsthand. The shifting of we owning as a company, we can switch off a server, but now it's going to our players. They're actually looking forward to it, and it's something exciting, definitely.
Yeah, it's very important to educate them to see the benefits.
That's right.
Of those kind of games.
And it's new technology.
To create critical mass.
Yeah, that's right.
So that games can be adopted, because with the regular games, they are not interested putting the games on the blockchain, because they will lose a big cut of their profits.
Yeah, microtransactions and so forth.
They are not incentivized. But we have to create critical mass to make that breakthrough.
Also, I found blockchain, the technology, in terms of the security side of stuff, it's very appealing, especially from our side. From what we've seen, we've had like DDoS attacks on our server and so forth. So blockchain, hopefully, will help with the security side of stuff as well. So that's key.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think, oh, you can hear me? So I think one thing is not every game should actually be on blockchain. I think the game needs to be designed for blockchain from the ground up. So like I think when it comes to like why blockchain for game studios, a lot of traditional game studios don't really have much of a reason to move over to that because it doesn't fit their business model. But if you're a player, like for me, I've played Magic the Gathering ever since I was a kid, and you know having a secondary marketplace is part of pretty much a gameplay experience, right? So, you know, there's a lot of MMOs, World of Warcraft, went all the way up to what we have now, and people, put in thousands of hours in these games, but, besides, making friends in there, they don't really have anything to show for it physically, right? Unless they're a streamer or to get into esports. If they wanted to sell their account, then, it's technically illegal, and they can get a chance to get scammed.
Yeah.
So I think a part of like what makes blockchain so appealing is that it actually gives players a way of getting some type of value for the time they put in, right? And they don't have to be on like the esports level to do that, but they can just play for fun. So they're not playing with the idea of like I'm earning money, but it's with ownership. But then with ownership, there also has to be utility. So ownership just to own things is pretty much worthless. But if you can do something with the ownership, it's quite important. And then with blockchain, right? There's all these different ecosystems that are coming up, and then you can actually give them a chance to interact with other projects in the ecosystem. And we can also promote that creator economy much better without having it all depend on individual companies.
Yeah, I think that's key.
Yeah.
I think that's something they're creating, which is a platform where
Building
several
it.
developers can come in and they can use the assets from that one theme, and then cross-platform is key in blockchain. So
It's still very early, so I think there's
Yeah,
going to be a
I
lot
think-
of different ways to implement this. And I think another key thing is just for the people who know crypto, it's they can handle a lot of that already. But for people who don't understand and they just want to play a game, it's good to have them come into the game, enjoy the game, and then after that, they might be interested in exploring blockchain. But it can't be from the other way around. Otherwise, it's just very difficult for people to get into it, and then it always just becomes a financial incentive, which is, of course, like it's okay, right? If people can play for whatever reason, but if you want to go mass market, it has to be through the content.
Definitely.
Okay, when we talk about challenges, the biggest challenges on blockchain in the gaming, what can you say me about that, Ante?
Yeah, I see the main problem is that the first blockchain games were focused on creating play-to-earn model. And with that model in focus, you have not sustainable tokenomics and with a huge decreasing in value. I think that we need to make a shift to create quality and fun games like we used to play when we were kids,
Exactly.
That is the point. And the play-to-earn aspect is just a byproduct, not earning tokens. But now when the ownership is switching to the users, as I said earlier, you are free to do whatever you want with those assets. You can trade them, you can borrow them, get some fee on borrowing them, you can give somebody to somebody, so they can earn on that kind of way. On your marketplace or on the centralized marketplace, that is the beauty of all of this.
Yeah, I think what you talked about, again, obviously the ownership going on, which is key, but what I've found is a lot of companies, I think what they're skeptical about is, obviously we've got a revenue stream coming in from microtransactions already within the game. So taking that away from the company, it's not.
Yeah, currently we now having the backslash from the gaming community that NFT games are only stealing their money.
That's
but
right, yeah.
they don't majority realize that they are already here.
Yeah,
But
it's
better
Big
for the
companies,
gamers.
yeah,
It
big companies
is,
are already giving them everything through microtransactions.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we need to educate them about is the
Yeah,
fact that
exactly that.
the microtransactions that are happening already, it's what you get in charge
Yeah,
anyway,
but
but
now
you don't
you
own
have
anything.
that on NFT. You are free to do
exactly.
it,
Yeah,
whatever
you
thing
can,
you want with it.
you know,
Yeah.
you can leverage that to a
Yeah.
bit more thingy, which is good. Another point I was going to say, in terms of like, I think as a company, you have to re-strategize yourself. You got to pivot a bit. So in terms of, right, okay, so if I'm going to be selling NFTs, where's my regular revenue coming in from then? So as a company, what we're looking at is like the fees from the transactions.
Yeah.
So if companies,
One way
you know,
of it.
if players are obviously trading with each other, which is good for the economy, obviously players trading with one another and everything, and that should be the next focus for the company in terms of their long-term sustainability, right? The fees that are involved, that's something that I think a lot of companies should talk about and discuss as well.
Yeah, but this new technology is creating all new models of
Yeah,
revenue.
that's right. Yeah, so again, like Joseph mentioned, we're early in the space as well, so it's the evolution, as it's going to evolve like periodically. It's going to be
I can
really-
only agree with Joseph that technology gap is too large now for the common users. And in my opinion, the next big narrative will be that seamless transaction for the users. Only when the users are not knowing that they are using the blockchain, then truly we have mass adoption. That is all what we are reaching for.
So I guess I answered part of the question in the previous question, but I mean the game industry is quite difficult to make a fun game. And even if you have a good team and a good game, it doesn't mean it'll be successful commercially. So when you incorporate blockchain into it, it becomes even more complex because there hasn't been many like amazing examples of it, and there's like a lot of different ways you can go, right? Like if you're you know, on a mobile game and they're, you know, it's like a free-to-play game and they're using their credit card already, and then they're onboarding onto blockchain, then yeah, it's like giving them some more value. But it's just that it comes into the why are people playing the game, right? So like would someone watch a movie they don't like because they get a free NFT from it? It's possible, right? But it's not the way that you're going to get everyone in there. So I think, you know, besides like,
mass market, is
right,
it?
besides just even finding who's going to be interested in it, it's also regulations, like all the different regions, how to like set up the economy right? Because, you know, for MMOs, I mean, MMORPGs have been around for a long time. So the way you design out the economy for those, it's a lot of, you know, you have to have the right sinks, right? The right faucets. So for emissions. And when it comes to blockchain, you have to kind of balance out the off-chain with the on-chain portion, as well as be able to be flexible, right? Because, I mean, we all have assumptions as of who's going to play this, but then I think it's a matter of being able to pivot and being able to be flexible once the players come in.
Yeah, I think a lot of fun aspects of blockchain gaming is not there yet. Probably a
Yeah.
handful of games that are actually fun, like as a gamer myself, that I'd pick up and think, yeah, I
Right.
want to have a bit of fun and stuff. But again, if I was a gamer, I'd look at it like, I want to play the game first. I'm not too
Yeah,
interested
exactly.
in the blockchain part. It's something that we've got to educate within the game in a slower,
If you are-
bite-sized portions.
If you are playing the game for the earn, you are not playing. You are,
Right.
Yeah,
you are at a
exactly.
job. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a game anymore. It's a job.
So there's a lot of challenges. I think it's just yeah, how the technology is going to evolve and the regulations and just the way to incorporate it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
for both the developers and the players.
Yeah, in terms of technology, I mean, I've been discussing with Infinity Games here, and I was just giving them an example. I've got a 50-year-old US woman
Okay.
playing one of our games. Now, she's messaging me every single day. Like, she literally like, Saf, how do I do this? How do I do this? And that's on a Web2 game. Now, imagine her playing a Web3 game. It's going to be like, oh my God. So what I said to my team is like, how do we do it where we've got a seamless wallet, like Ante just explained, seamless wallet, and then the second part is, right, so they've done a trade, and it's come to them as BUSD. What's BUSD? She's going to be like, Saf, what do I do with this and whatnot? So what we're trying to do is create like a seamless wallet where they do the trade, and the BUSD gets changed into US dollars, which will come into the account. That's something, that's a technology we're looking at really trying to get into, because that takes away the fact that a player will play the game, have to go to a marketplace, exchange it, then go to an exchange the actual
Right.
Do you understand? So trying to create
User
that-
experience
Yeah,
is a
user
huge-
experience is
it's a huge hurdle
thing,
to go
yeah.
over.
I don't mind that traditional institutions are coming into the space, and I'm fine with them issuing the crypto wallets. That is perhaps the best chance for the seamless crypto wallets that user will use. Mobile operators could be a huge factor here.
I think we'll have a lot of problems in terms of legal stuff as well, especially with
Yes,
like
yes.
the US. Of course, that's being frowned upon. They're trying to do a lockdown on the NFTs as well,
Yes.
aren't they? So tax purposes, obviously, there was the lady that was on before. That's going to play a key part in the
Yes,
growth
but
as well.
Big problem is also cooperation between gaming studios.
Yes,
How you-
collaborations.
You're all talking about problems of the users, but also there is a problem for the development studios like us or that are small or medium that already have a problem developing games. Now they have to have new developers for blockchain. And in our platform, for start, we can integrate new development studios very fast, and they will get and share 3D models, animation. So me as a player can go through the game from one game to another and bring all the assets and all the perks that I have in previous game. We think it will hugely make a difference to onboard new players. So educating studios, because now crypto games, Web3 games are not so good. We all know that. We have to bring fresh forces from medium and indie games studios to create a really good game, to create new experiences both in VR, AR, and standard kind of games. So in our platform, we have to incentivize them to create Web3 games. That's huge step for them because it's another cost for them, it's cost of development, of storage, or whatever. So.
Yeah, what I'm hoping for is that the blockchain will bring the interoperability between the gaming studios so that we have some uniformity on which way the games are built. It can be organic, but that is the part also what are we doing at Infinity Games. In the last years, you had several projects, big projects, who were promising the games on the blockchain, but didn't solve, for me, the big issue for the gamer. When I'm playing my characters, which I created in one game, and I want to use it in some other game, I want to have same feelings, same look, because I'm connected with that character. And we at Infinity Games, we are thinking that we have solved that issue, that through all the metaverse, you will have the same characters with same looks. And on the future,
Interoperability is very important.
yeah, and for the future gaming studios, it's up on them and on their imagination what can be built. We are
Right.
hoping for the organically growing metaverse in each direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's something that it's a bit difficult to break that as at the moment with the studios. They don't really work together, especially in the chain that I've seen. I mean, I've worked with other games companies when we're creating like a card art or something, so we'll use it from a different studio. But what you guys want to create, obviously, that is we're hoping that's the future. But again, individually, it's hard to get the companies on board, get other companies on board. But I think it's the newer people that want to come into it. It's something that, yeah, definitely you can tackle. Definitely you can tackle.
Okay, I'll mention some more challenges. There's like infinite challenges
There
for
is,
this,
there
but
is.
so I think another thing on the chain side is like you know how much you actually want to go cross-chain versus multi-chain, right? Because there's a lot of ecosystems looking for good developers right now. You know, there's like Wormhole, which is doing like the cross bridging, but as a game developer, we have to make sure we could secure our users' data, right? So we're not. Like we have some decentralization, right, on the blockchain, but our goal is to make sure nothing happens to the data, right, and that the game can't get socially engineered, right. Most games are just completely Web 2, right, so they control everything in that. So for us, it's like when we're thinking about appealing to different communities, right, for crypto natives, there's all a lot of different chains, and how can we satisfy those? Have the right liquidity, maybe give a way for people to trade their NFTs across chains. So it'd either be chaining it, or we do it as a multi-chain. So we
I
have
think that's
part
the
of it
next evolution.
So I mean, there's
of where
like
we
a
are.
lot more like challenges coming up for this, but I think it all comes down to the content. Like, why would someone want to do this? Like, for example, like DAOs are, I mean, the idea of a DAO is great, but if you want people to participate in that DAO who don't understand blockchain, it needs to be wrapped up in the story, right? It can't just say, oh, here's a DAO. It actually would have to act like some type of little government within the game, and people need to be invested in it without knowing what it is. So like right now it's exciting because we're still in that tech narrative point where we're all going off of tech. Everyone's like an early adopter. You're having people from finance, art, and games like come together. And it's quite exciting, but yeah, I mean there's a lot more challenges that need to be solved.
Exactly. But what is the future of blockchain gaming?
The future of blockchain gaming, well, I guess I'd say what's the future? I mean, that brings in the question: what's the future of value, right? I think right now, like having these like verified NFTs, people are gonna rather have an NFT that's worth more than a Lambo than taking a picture of a Lambo and sharing it on Twitter. Like that looks funny, but now having this NFT, it looks cooler, right? So it's coming into question like how does society value certain things? But what I do imagine is that, well, like, what's the definition of metaverse, right? There's a lot of different ideas of what it could be. But I think for me, it's more of, like esports, right? It's still relatively new. Like when it first came out, there wasn't much prize support for esports, but then you could see like League of Legends, Dota 2, PUBG. People are making, they're living off of esports right now. But that's kind of like the top echelon of players.
Very few as well, isn't
Right.
there? So.
But like let's say for League of Legends, right? They have cosplayers. They have a lot of like all these other economies spawning off of what they're doing. But with blockchain, I think we can have it so people who are very invested in the game, they play it a lot, they can get more value from it. Maybe they're not like as good as esports players, but we have a way of actually giving them value for the time invested, and we could put that on chain, instead of having that company just control that. We also have a way of, having more, I guess, composability for like different mechanics, different aspects of the game where, we can reward content creators, and we could do that on chain, right? So it's always going to be, in a smart contract, they always get a cut of what they make. And I think having that will give like content creators, these people, a lot more confidence when working with, games, because it's not just based on me, right? Because now it's always going to be going on chain. So as long as you have like confidence in that chain, then it can keep going on. So
yeah, I mean, gaming itself is a huge social platform as well, isn't it? Communities get built. I mean, when we started playing, we used to use text chat. We used to have like a message board within the game, and we used to leave a message, and then our team members used to reply back onto that. But now you see 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, like my little kids, they play Minecraft and they're discussing with their friends and stuff. Skins are huge, so stuff like that, which we think ourselves, right? These are easily compatible with like NFTs. You can easily make them into. So social networking is going to be huge in the future. Skins, and they have identity. I think a lot of games they're providing, like Fortnite, kids and players, they have a lot of identity within games now as well. And it's something that we, in the future, the metaverse, it's going to provide that identity. If we can just do it right, give the right functionality, give that fun element, that has to be there. We can, it's limitless, isn't it?
Yeah, the key part of the metaverse, and that in famous Mark Zuckerberg video, where he present metaverse. The key component is what Joseph said, that users are trusting the chain. We are trusting the Ethereum, that data stored on the blockchain, we are all trusting in it. So as what I'm seeing, that is the key component of the metaverse. Without that, we don't have metaverse. We had Second Life 20 years ago. Yeah. But if it is on the blockchain, if I'm believing, if I'm trusting that data, then I'm willing to spend the time in the metaverse. I see it as the connection of the physical and the virtual part. But truly, that you can even sense it, like what you own on the blockchain, it's really yours. And
Right.
it is only yours. So I see future, big future in that, and in everything a bit we have spoken. This panel, this is the bright future, as I see it.
I think as developers, we've got the same picture. Everybody's got the same picture that they're trying to paint, and obviously different paths and different ways of going about it. But
There's a
I
lot of
think our
space for it.
end-
There's a lot of space
There's
for
a
it
lot of
too.
space for it.
So-
Yeah, I mean, like you always say, we always mention we're early in the space, so let's become pioneers. Let's shape the future for what
Yeah, and
our
work,
children are
work
going to be.
together.
What's happening
Interoperability.
right now in the gaming industry that will shape the
Sorry?
What is going now
What's going
on
on?
gaming industry right now that will shape the future of metaverse of gaming, and what are the habits of new generation of gamers?
I think compared to last year when NFTs, obviously we had that explosion, didn't we, of all these games coming out and stuff. I think what a lot of people have done, they've gone back to the drawing board and right, okay, this tokenomics that you mentioned, it's not working. Let's create a fun game first and then
Yeah,
look at the
this is
earning
the
part.
point.
As
You
a,
saw what happened to SLP, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's crashed.
Yeah,
At
that's right,
times,
yeah.
a lot of scholars left, and then people realize, well, a lot of it was probably botted. I mean, it's not sustainable. Because it's played to earn, meaning that there's people who don't have the opportunity to get a good job in their area, and this is like a good alternative for them. So their main goal is to be able to put food on their family's plates. So they're
almost
playing
like a
this
job.
to earn.
The grinding
Yeah,
for
Right,
a
yeah.
job,
so
aren't they?
They are
so
the
that's the
job.
goal, right? It's not to just watch them do whatever, right? So I mean, as soon as that goes down, then they're going to leave.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, let me say something. So I think that big thing that is happening now that is very important is this mass adoption, because now big gaming studios are taking the most all of the earnings of the games, and they are not very happy to give it away. So we have to move many people or players to the decentralized world, to the democratized world, and then make them big players come also in the second wave, because they will lose the players. So, and in this way, the smaller studios like ours here and the players will have much more incentivized to play and to create new games. Today, outside of Web3, the big problem is that small studios don't have funding, and the big studios and big companies have too much money and they're not interested in creating anything new. If you look at FIFA, last 3 releases were totally the same,
Same
not
game.
one
Same game,
more
different
feature.
skins.
3 years, 0 features, just new skin.
I will say in those large companies, though, there's a lot of people who want to get into Web3 gaming.
Yeah, because it is boring. They have too
Yeah.
much money.
Well, there was that article about Ubisoft when they mentioned, NFTs, and they got a
That
real
is that
backlash, didn't they, on
backlash
Twitter?
from the community,
From the
gamers community.
But again, it's because the community is not educated.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's
so-
also because, it's been a while, right? And I think the only narrative they've seen with NFTs are, it's just not the best narrative, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
you'd
right.
have like YouTubers just pumping it up, and then they don't know, they're just running into it to make
Yeah,
money.
JPEGs.
But,
or
so I
whatever.
think it comes from when people already like the game, then they see, okay, I get more from it.
I see the
versus-
benefits.
Yeah, and then when the game can handle all these different types of groups of players, then I think that's the way the game will, be successful in blockchain.
Also, I'm not sure if Web3 platforms are ready for hundreds of millions of wallets. Maybe that's if we succeed in getting EA Sports to blockchain, what blockchain will support 100 million users and
Transactions.
Yeah,
billions of transactions per day? So maybe it's good that they're not yet here to crash everything. But if we want to really have a big number of players, we have to go through the esports and to do these big games to make them come to Web3.
Yeah, we have to help to create a critical mass, so that the big gaming studios doesn't have another option but to adopt
Yeah.
Web3 and the blockchain.
Adoption will come sooner
Yeah.
rather than later.
I mean-
I mean,
I
the
know
future is people are going to wonder why
It's already
we
here.
didn't use blockchain before. I think just people don't know yet because they're used to not having that. But later on, they're going to look back in time and wonder, hey, why couldn't I own those things in the game? That's crazy that I spent all this money for nothing.
I think they talked about that
Yeah.
on Modern Warfare, didn't they? They mentioned it, right? There's Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if it was Modern. It was one of the Call of Duty games. Second game's coming out, and you can't take anything from
Right.
part 1 to part 2. So people are like,
But that's the future. People are going to wonder why we didn't have it.
yeah.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
past, yeah, because now you are playing mobile game,
Yeah.
you get bored, and what's now? Just play another game. But now you will have an option to maybe sell your account on convenient way, because now you don't have a convenient way to sell that account, you know. But with the blockchain, you have fully convenient way to do that.
Even not just money, my time, my emotion. I
Yeah,
invest
yeah,
in
yeah.
this
That's right.
character.
You want something
Even the
in back.
Supercell had 3 great games, and you get to 70th level of one game. You are starting a new game from zero.
Zero, yeah.
So I cannot between the game from the same studio. I cannot
Right.
exchange, and I had to go from. I don't want to start 1 year to lose 1 year of my time to start again. So just to be able to move with your character because you invested your emotion, your time, your not just money into that. It's part of you, and make it easy to use the same or similar characters through the NFTs. Of course, in the different games will have a big impact. In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Completely.
I mean, we can go on forever.
We can talk.
We only have 4 more minutes.
Got
so-
4 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Johnny,
Oh,
but-
so we're still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like what you mentioned, like it's very important to have. I think another part of the metaverse is having like a persistent identity, right? You've heard people mention this before, and I think a good way is doing like interoperability, and
Yeah.
that could either be with like the NFTs you have in the game, like a character, or it can be kind of a larger profile that you have across the studio with multiple games, right? So think of Roblox, but like Web3.
Yeah.
Roblox is very Web2, but I would say, yeah, and that other part is having that like identity, who you are. Like, okay, I spent time in this game, I want to move over here, and that can either be through the specific NFTs or through your profile.
Yeah, the profile is NFT.
I mean, we're gonna try it all out and see what works, right? And I think that's what's the exciting thing is,
Yeah.
I think all of us are probably hardcore gamers, and we're trying to kind of put our ideas into this
Yeah,
and then
so-
make sure things work.
I truly believe like gaming is going to be the breakthrough we need for the mass adoption of blockchain.
Oh, the blockchain,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. Personally,
Yeah,
I think
gaming
so.
industry is huge.
Gaming's huge.
And as smart people say, it's not challenges, it's opportunities for us.
Opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, there are a lot of opportunities for all of you to come to and
To be
work
smart.
with us, yeah, and to
Yeah.
be the first one. Of course, there will be another wave of standardization. There is too many metaverses today. We have to grow to create maybe few in the future to standardize. But for now, let's throw in as much ideas as we can, work on them during this bear market, and then polish at the end.
The best time to build is during a
Great
bear
time to
market,
develop,
isn't it?
Yeah, and for the smart.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
investors to
building
invest.
going on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, despite the token prices, right? There's like a ton of things going on. Like it just feels so fast.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
We'll be
narrative
into a
is
bull market
changing.
before we know it, so yeah, it's crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're all positioning ourselves like very well for what we're targeting. Like so for us, because I guess I didn't really introduce the studio. We're developing some of our own games, but we're also we want to be like the next EA for Web3. So that means for publishing, we have a development platform, mostly like on the game engine side, as well as we will be focusing on publishing in Asia, like Southeast Asia, as well as North America later on. But there's tons of developers who want to get into this, but they don't really know what's the best way to incorporate the blockchain, or they have an IP they want to develop, but they don't really know how to go about it.
I think funding comes into it as well.
And the funding, right? Because in
funding.
traditional games, it's almost impossible to fund a game from VCs. So I think what's another great opportunity with Web3 is that it does have more VC funding in here, because it's also a proof of concept, right? You're incorporating tech with the gaming. So I think it's a great opportunity for anyone who wants to get in this space.
Definitely. I think so too.
Thank you guys for this conversation. Our
Thank
time's
you.
up.
Thanks, guys.
If you have any questions, ask now or on workshop.